Hello again. I have another video update for you all. In my other videos, I've talked about what I was trying to do when designing this map. So back to the whole terrain stuff and overgrowth stuff. But in this video, I'm going to explain or try to explain how, with those changes that I've made, this map can facilitate teamwork now that I've accomplished those goals I set out for myself. I started this map years ago, maybe like 3 or 4 years ago, in my head. Like, I conceptualized it for myself. It was just a fun thing that I would do, right? Like, I played a lot about the game, so I would think a lot about the game. And I feel like these ideas could smooth out PR's gameplay. And then playing a lot of maps and all that, it's like I gained more and more experience, and I had a lot more opinions about the game. I tried mapping for the first time in PR like 10 years ago, and I just wanted to just contribute to the game, and I didn't necessarily have those ideas yet, but it's like after all this time and after learning the editor and having a lot of experience, I feel like I can finally follow through into implementing those ideas. So it's really important to me that I finish this map, and for the moment I'm really happy that I was able to get this far. PR is a really unique game. It's one of those games that, it's one of the few games that has a large amount of players on a single battlefield. So other games like Arma or PlanetSide, they're the only other games that have a huge amount of players and over a large scale. I think that there is an understanding that it's harder to design large maps, right? So compared to games like Counter-Strike or Overwatch, those maps are very small. So the level designers can spend all their effort designing every square inch of their map, and it won't take too long because, you know, that map is so much more smaller than a map in Project Reality. So the way I think of it is, you can take those design elements, those things that people learn what makes a good map, and just scale it on a larger sense. So I just believe that it is an achievable thing to make a large-scale environment and designing it well by implementing the same design principles that you have for smaller maps. So maps in Project Reality can, or I believe they can, facilitate squad cohesion by setting up proper lines of sight and giving clear direction of movement. So, for example, at the moment I'm moving northeast, and I'm just, moving in general direction. You usually tell your squad that in PR. You just say, okay guys, we're gonna move northeast, right? And this is what you see. And then let's, for example, go the opposite direction. Okay squad, we're gonna go west. So I picked a spot on the map that is a really good example. If I look this direction, it's just a bunch of trees. And then if I look in this direction, it's just a bunch of trees. And this is what I feel like is the main issue when it comes to designing flags, either forested or whatever. Like, a lot of Vietnam maps are like this. It's just that when you look in either direction, they look the same. So it's a real problem for squads to keep cohesion, because if the only direction that your squad has is to move a certain direction, they constantly have to look at their compass or their mini-map to figure out their orientation of their squad, right? Obviously, it helps to have observe commands and say, okay, we're going to move towards the observe command, but it's, I mean, just through experience through playing the game, I constantly have to look, not even in first person, I need to look through the mini-map to see what my team is doing. And that is a huge detriment to keeping a squad together, because not just together, but like having an understanding of what the squad is doing. So in this map, each flag is a visual landmark, and I keep saying that in my other videos, and to me it's like, basically my map's flags are very crude. They're just like blotches of circles on the ground, and then people are going to want to move towards them. So I've set up this observe command on this flag, and instead of saying if you're a squad leader, it's like, okay, we're going to move to the observe command. as a squad leader, you can say, okay, we're going to move towards the village to our north. Now that changes the entire squad's perspective of where they're going. You're not even giving them a direction, like north or straight. You're saying we'll say we're going to go to the village in front of us. So now we actually have a visual landmark that the entire squad, to my left or to my right, can use, and then that keeps the orientation. So let's say I'm on the rightmost flank of my squad, and all my squad is to the west, and our objective is the village. I know I'm on the right flank. I know what my squad is doing. I know where they're going. I don't need to look at the minimap to see what they're doing. We're just moving towards the village, and it's such a clear distinction between where we are, which is the forest, and the village we're trying to get to. While you're playing my map and you're going towards an objective, it'll be easier to just communicate, okay, we're going to go towards gas station, or we're going to go towards a construction site, we're going to go towards the farm. And then while you're playing, as those objectives come into your line of sight, then the squad as a whole can orient themselves visually in-game rather than having to rely on their compass or their minimap. So I went ahead and teleported to the the farm. And this might be a better example of how you can treat flags as whole objectives for your squad. And squad movement will be easier because you have a clear objective that the whole squad can understand, or even whole teams can understand. It's just that you can split up a team, no matter how big, so you can have 1 or 2 squads, you can have 3 people attack and 3 people overwatch. It's like the visibility of the people that you're playing with and the visibility of the enemy is much more understandable. So in other forest maps, perhaps because villages are much bigger or the lines of sight are not properly set up, it's difficult to have these opportunities to set up strategy. And visually, like I keep saying, and when I say visually, I mean in-game, without having to look at your mini-map or without having to even communicate to your team, you can see what the plan is. It's like, if my squad that's on the assaulting force is taking this side and moving up to that, wall over there and hitting the flank of the enemy that I'm trying to suppress, it's like the visual understanding of what's going on in a battle is really important. So this can carry on to all sorts of maps, not just forest maps. I just feel like a forest map is a good place to start because it's I just feel like there can be more. We have a lot of desert maps and they're all very open, and truthfully I feel like those maps serve different purposes, or the ideas that went into them when they were made, they just wanted to have like that theater of war in the game. So like Kashan is one of the oldest, or the oldest 4KM map that was made, I think. Don't quote me on that. And I see a lot of design flaws. Years ago, they didn't think it might be a problem, but they don't really think about the infantry's well-being. So if this is the first map of many maps that I would like to create, it's that the focus, there will be more focus on what the map is trying to achieve. And in this map in particular, it's the well-being of a squad. And if a squad is more better off, they can implement teamwork, and I feel like PR is a game that tries to evolve first-person shooter games. A lot of work has been done over the years through a lot of people, and a lot of them had different ideas of what can facilitate better teamwork and create more realistic firefights and more mature, for a more mature audience. And in terms of level design, and I'm not talking about environmental design or even, just the quality and sheer detail that has been put in other maps, level design is, I feel, one of the weaker parts in PR. And I'm hoping that I can level that up through the some design points in this map. So I'd like to thank everyone who has been watching my videos, and anybody who has been interested in the work that I've been doing. If you guys want, the other thing that I wanted to talk about, but I didn't want to talk about it in this video, is the aesthetical focus that I've made. And I picked this area. This is actually a new area of the map. This is the lake used to be here, and there were some complaints that the map might be too small, so I just completely removed the lake and added the terrain. So this entire area was made in about 2 days, right? So I've heard infamous stories of maps taking a long time to make, and I can see why. It's like some maps are so well detailed through their static objects, and just the amount of work that it takes to like make sure there's no wacky things, like things floating and like errors and all the things like that, right? I think this is the testament that, or I think this portion of this map, especially since I made it in 2 days, is a testament that maps in PR can be made relatively quickly. So if the game is stale, it might not be because of you know, like lack of content in terms of weapons and factions and things like that. It's like you can really bump the quality of PR even more, with more maps that have a better quality than maps of the past. And maps of the past have, you know, they've gone through their wear and tear, you know. It's like we've been playing this game for so long, we know all the portions of the map. It's like, it's crazy. It's like these maps are huge, but we know a lot of it. It's like if you play Counter-Strike, you play DDoS 2. You know, I've been playing Overwatch, and it's like we're playing the same maps over and over, and those maps can be fun. But then we've been playing this game for 10 years when we're still playing the same maps, right? So I feel like maps can be made quickly, and it can create new experiences and keep the game fresh. And it's like, I hope that I'm given the opportunity to make more maps for PR.